His value for generations has been measured by how steady he stays under pressure. That wiring doesn't vanish just because modern society says men should open up more. Why is it that so many men feel like they need to be in control? Control of their environment, control of their emotions, control of the people around them. A lot of people assume it's ego or pride or hunger for power. But for most men, that's not the truth. It's not about dominance. It's about safety and survival. Not just his own, but the safety and survival of his partner, his children, his community, maybe even his entire society. For hundreds of thousands of years, evolution has wired men to carry the burden of protection and provision. Historically, their role was to stand guard, to endure, to fight, and if necessary, to die. That instinct of protection stands in contrast to the nurturing role that women often embodied, tending to children, fostering connection, and caring for the emotional health of the group. For men, control became essential to survival, controlling their environment, controlling their reactions, controlling their emotions. Because if he loses control, he loses focus. And if he loses focus, danger could break through, threatening everyone. This is why men are still driven to withdraw and go numb, because they can't be weak or bad things might happen. They need to stay protective, and sometimes they need to be ready to turn aggressive. A man's primal drive has always been to protect and provide. To do that, he needs strength, he needs courage and endurance. His value for generations has been measured by how steady he stays under pressure. That wiring doesn't vanish just because modern society says men should open up more. His nervous system still carries the instinct to stay strong, stay silent, and shield his family from harm. So that's the evolutionary side, but then comes childhood. If a boy grew up in an emotionally secure home, his protective wiring can somewhat be at rest. He feels safe. He doesn't need to stay on guard all the time. But for insecurely attached boys, the story is different. They don't feel safe emotionally. And that means this instinct is always on. Insecurity has ingrained in them that love isn't dependable. Don't count on it. Affection can quickly disappear, so don't need it. And safety can vanish, so stay on guard. So he shuts down his emotions as a survival strategy. Not because he doesn't care, but because his patterns tell him that's what keeps him safe, and in fact is the only way to make his life bearable. And then if you add in a chaotic childhood that was maybe filled with inconsistency, unpredictable moods, and broken promises, if you add all that on top of the evolutionary patterns and the attachment wounds, well, now you have someone who doesn't ever feel safe and only knows one way to deal with it. Safety equals control plus emotional detachment. He's not consciously choosing control. His nervous system actually demands it. He has abandonment wounds that he doesn't understand and never will unless he seeks the awareness. He cannot fail because that will tell everyone around him that he's weak. And if he's weak, he's not worthy. And if he isn't worthy, he will be left behind. He doesn't want to be abandoned like he felt as a child, so he adapts. He's not going to admit weakness. He needs to stay safe. And he wants to belong, so he doesn't show too much, he doesn't need too much, and he doesn't feel too much. Because control is what has kept men and society safe for all of time. It's not about right or wrong or good or bad. It's just what is. As a man, that wiring runs deep because failure doesn't just mean I made a mistake. It means I am a mistake. That's why vulnerability feels so dangerous. Any sign of weakness will likely lead to rejection. It doesn't matter what the truth is. It only matters what he perceives. But there's one more element here. When he does get into a relationship where he's finally loved, where his feelings do matter, and that he can maybe open up, he tries again. He shares what hurts. And in the vast majority of cases, he quickly learns that once again, his emotions and feelings are dismissed, and they're met with judgment, withdrawal, or disappointment. This simply reinforces the lesson. His emotions aren't safe here either. And I realize that many of you listening are going to push back on that and say that you want your man to be open and vulnerable. Don't trust what I'm saying. Go talk to any masculine heterosexual man in your life. Ask them to watch this video, and you'll discover why it is that he does what he does. He hides, he shuts down, not because he doesn't care, not because he wants control. He's calm on the outside and exhausted on the inside because he wants everybody to be safe. This need to control that you see on the outside, it's not about pride, it's not about ego. It's the adult version of a little boy who learned through evolution, insecure attachment, and childhood chaos that his heart isn't safe to show. It's an unconscious belief that emotional control and strength are the only way to keep everyone safe. And the problem we face is that even today, there are times when that's still true. Families and societies continue to face danger. There are times that somebody does have to forgo their feelings, be courageous, and stand up to the storm that they're facing. But that switch doesn't have to be always on. Because when it's on all the time, it leaves men stuck. It leaves them lonely. It leaves them exhausted. It's time to realize it doesn't have to stay this way. The instinct of emotional detachment when facing danger isn't wrong, but the childhood wounds that keep it permanently on high alert can be healed. And that will certainly make life easier for everyone. At Discover You, we help men see they don't have to carry everything in silence. Healing begins with awareness, knowing what you're doing and why. That awareness brings understanding, and that understanding finally brings peace. You're not broken, you're not cold, you're not unfeeling. You're a man who has adapted to survive. But now it's time to do more than survive. It's time to discover yourself at Discover You.